How good would this be if it came with the 2.4 litre turbo from the WRX? But unfortunately it doesn't. It comes with an asthmatic 2.5 litre naturally aspirated engine, pretty much working from palliative care, producing 136 kilowatts and 239 Newton meters. The worst part about this though is, according to the badge on the back, this is an STI. Now, I don't know about you, but that really annoys me because Subaru has such an extensive history making drivers' cars and rally-inspired machines. In fact, you could get the Forester back in the day with a turbocharged engine and a manual transmission. Now, I get it that there's probably no longer a business case for a manual transmission. The manual might have only made up, 5% of the sales. So you can't continue making it if only 5% of people are buying it. After all, Subaru is a business, it's a company, it operates, it has to make a profit. So I can understand why they would get rid of the manual, but to go with a CVT auto as well, it just really rubs salt into the wound. Aside from the badge on the back, this is based on the IS model. Comes with a black grille, black side mirrors, some rather nice 18-inch alloy wheels, painted in kind of dark grey, and black roof rails and window surrounds. I think it actually looks really nice. It looks subtle, but a bit sporty as well. You've got a black spoiler there sticking out. You've also got a little trim piece along the back here. You can't quite see it with this dark grey colour, but all that's black. Kind of a JTM style thing. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty good. It's a bit subtle, but still a bit sporty. If only it had a turbo engine. So what has STI done to this exactly? Well, it's fit STI tuned front and rear dampers. That's it. Apart from the badge on the back, there's a badge on the instrument cluster as well. And then you've got luxury focused interior with, in this case, kind of a maroony red trim package with Napa leather and STI headrests. It all looks and feels really nice in here, as with most Subaru models. Build quality is excellent, fit and finish excellent, practicality excellent. It's just such a shame that they want to put their STI badge on a very normal model. It's just a real disappointment in my opinion. This engine, I don't really know what to say about it. It's nothing special at all really. It doesn't sound very good. It's a bit rough, as boxer engine or flat engines typically are. Power and torque levels are very average, performance is very average, and fuel economy is quite average too, to be honest. We've been driving this, we did the performance testing and then I reset the trip computer because Mark's going to do the written review of this. Reset the trip computer after I did the performance testing, and it's averaging 8.4 litres per 100 kilometres. So that's, that might have been okay back 10 years ago when this sort of engine was around as well. But today, that's not a very good fuel rating against its current rivals. A lot of them have turned hybrid, and in fact, Subaru has just unveiled the next generation Forester with a hybrid engine. Even that though, it's 146 kilowatts or 145 kilowatts, 2.5 litre as well. I don't see how it's going to be much better than the previous or the outgoing Forester hybrid, which doesn't offer very good fuel economy in the real world. In fact, it's only marginally better than the standard setup. Hopefully Subaru can get on top of that and just, do something about it, because the way this is now, the package is awesome. The practicality, as I said, the looks, everything is great. The way it drives is also really good. The powertrain is just so far behind. There's nothing special about it. It's not particularly fuel efficient. It doesn't offer good performance. And I think you need at least one of those to be appealing, to stand out in this crowded segment. Up on the dash here, we've got Subaru's older interface setup with just an 8-inch screen on the main section and then a separate screen for the trip computer information. I don't mind this setup. I mean, the graphics are starting to get a little bit old now, but I don't mind the buttons here, so you can easily just jump to certain areas, and you've got a proper physical volume knob. And then down below, you've got separated climate controls, which is great. So you can just concentrate on driving, reach down here to turn the fan speed up. You don't even have to look down. After a while, you get used to where everything is. rather than have to go into a touchscreen and adjust things there. Then down below we've got a little shelf for your phone, as long as you don't have a really big phone. It's rubber lined as well, which is great. Same with the cup holders, you've got some rubber lining along the bottom, some storage for the keys, and then your drive modes. This has also got heated seats in the front. Up at the back, again, quite appealing. You've got the two-tone leather seats in the back here as well. A big sunroof. It's not a full panoramic roof, but it is a large sunroof. And then climate vents down below with some USB chargers. They're the older style USB-C chargers. Lots of leg room and what I would describe as an upright cabin orientation. So just very tall, big windows, plenty of headroom as you can see. It's probably one of the most practical cabins in this specific class. I like that it's not trying to be a sporty coupe style SUV. It's just the older style, upright, four-wheel drive. You do have a center armrest as well with some cup holders and bottle holders in the doors. Then up at the back, we've got a powered tailgate on this one. And Subaru has given us a bike rack to sample, but I haven't bothered with that. You do have little buttons to flip down the rear seats from the back, which is great. Again, I love the utilitarian character of Subaru. So you've got little tie hooks everywhere down below, and also a 12-volt socket as well. And then under the floor here, we've got a nice thick rubber mat. And then under the floor, we've got a full-size spare wheel as well, which is great. If you're going to do some touring, you want a full-size spare wheel, so you don't have to worry about stuffing around with a skinny space saver. You got to go at certain speeds or keep under certain speeds. With this full-size spare, if you're on the dirt or something like that, you don't have to worry about it. All right, let's go for a drive now and see how it handles and how it goes. And then we'll do the performance test as well. I don't think I've done a performance test of the Forester on the new channel. I don't think I have, maybe I have, but I certainly haven't done it with the STI or so-called STI model. One of the best things about the Forester, in my opinion, is rugged simplicity and practicality. For example, check out the visibility out the front. It's so good. It's probably the best visibility of all mid-size SUVs. You can easily see all around you. You've got a little quarter window there, so you can see between the pillar, which is quite thin, and the mirror. The mirror isn't big and bulky anyway, so there's not a blind spot there to begin with. But yeah, you've got those big windows, tall, upright cabin orientation. It's just so easy to drive. Even out the back, you've got a large third window or quarter window right at the back there, so you can see through what is commonly a big blind spot. And then there's a nice big rear windscreen. It makes it very easy and not at all intimidating to drive. Like your grandmother could get in this and just drive it without having to worry about, you know, being too confined in the cabin or anything like that. In terms of handling, it's really refined, good suspension, can absorb these country roads really well. Seems like it's got plenty of suspension stroke, so if you hit a big pothole or go off-road, you've got a bit of wheel movement there compared with some of the rivals, or compared with most of the rivals actually. But even going over this rough road, it's beautiful, it's very comfortable. And the steering feels mechanical and engaging. The tyres are quite tall profile, so it's not as sharp in the corners or in terms of steering response as you'd get from some lower profile tyres, but the side benefit is this you can take off-road or smash into potholes and so on, and you don't have to worry too much. All right, let's head out now to the performance test and see what it goes like.